My ex-wife and I were married for 9 years. We've been together since we were kids and got married before high school. We have 2 kids together. It was a surprise when she got pregnant a 3rd time. We didn't want any more kids, so I had a vasectomy to make sure that wouldn't happen. I checked with my doctor, who told me I couldn't have caused her to get pregnant. Then she told me she had been seeing someone else but didn't want our marriage to end. After she lied to me, I told her I wouldn't stay with her and I wouldn't raise the child she had with another man. She moved in with her child's father after we broke up. After we split up, she got engaged to him and had another child with him. One more thing. I paid for a DNA test on her 3rd child just to be sure, because I will never leave my kids. DNA tests showed that her child was not mine. He didn't give her anything after leaving her. She only had her mom and sister for a family, but they helped her out. But it was made clear that I needed to step up and be a dad to her other kids. I told them no. Our 2 sons are now 11 and 10 years old. Her other kids are 4 and 2 years old. X has a hard time with money and has begged me many times over the last few years to be involved in the lives of her 2 younger children. In reality, they don't have any active male adults in their lives. I get why she wants that for them, but I don't want to be that. I choose not to think about those kids unless I have to, i.e., when I know I'm going to be around them to make sure I can at least not be a jerk. After all, they are my boys' siblings. The older of the 2 is turning 5 soon, and I've been asked if I could buy some gifts and show up at a birthday party for her, the child. I have refused. I said it's on my ex now. Her mom and sister are coming after me for not stepping up, showing my boys what a real man and a real father is. They say I am damaging my boys, ruining their childhoods and their future by not displaying true compassion and love by embracing their siblings. I have also been accused of causing a rift because the boys call them half-siblings versus just siblings. They say I allow that divide to happen. They also say 2 innocent children have very little and see their brothers with so much more. Possessions, family quality experiences. And while they are little now, the oldest is about to get to an age where this stuff starts to really stick. My ex heard about the exchange with her mom and sister and called me an a-hole for punishing her kids instead of her. Am I the a-hole? Not the jerk. She was unfaithful and now expects you to pick up the pieces. That's comical. Look after your biological sons and yourself. She got herself into this mess, no one else. Once your kids are older, you can explain what happened and why things seem different for their siblings. But for now, you're being a great father to your kids. This sucks for the 2 younger kids who've done nothing wrong, but that's something their mother should have considered before cheating on you. She and her family should be harassing the younger kid's dad to step up, not you. Not the jerk. I mean, it's rich that your ex-wife's family is saying you're ruining their childhoods by not displaying true compassion and love when their sister was having an affair while you were married. As long as you're not a jerk to the other kids, you're fine. You might even be teaching your sons not to let themselves get pushed around in the future because family and real men, the actual audacity of this woman, has an affair and falsely pregnant with another man, goes on to have another child with this man, then expects you to pick up the pieces because of her infidelity. She's trying to guilt you into handing over money and affection to her 2 younger kids that have absolutely nothing to do with you. Nah, stand your ground, do not give in to this woman and her sister. I, 22, female, have a sister, Kate, 29, female, who I do love, but am both frustrated and worried for her because she's not seeing the metaphorical writing on the wall. Ever since she was a teenager, she's always seemed disinterested in babies and children. In college, she said that she was child-free, and while our parents were either upset or dismissive, I was supportive. I was the willing listening ear to her complaints about getting frustrated at not being able to find a doctor who would help her prevent getting pregnant permanently, or health insurance refusing to pay for something that was deemed elective and unnecessary. She was constantly told that she would change her mind and other stuff, and a lot of other family members would trick or pressure Kate into babysitting in order to help show her how wonderful children were. It caused a lot of turmoil in her romantic life, which is why I was so happy for her when she started dating Austin, 37, male, who was also child-free. They got married, and everything seemed great until Kate got pregnant. Austin had a vasectomy, and Kate was on birth control. I'm not too sure about all the medical terms, but Kate took some antibiotics that affected her birth control. After a non-invasive DNA test proved that Austin was the father, he apologized for accusing her of cheating. Going forward, I thought Kate would end the pregnancy because that's what she said she would always do. But she confided in me that something in her changed, and she wants to keep it. Austin moved out, and Kate has been crying. I don't like seeing my sister sad, and I hate that she has to go through this, but I was completely upset at our mom for telling Kate that Austin will change his mind and to just give him some time. I didn't like how she and sister-in-law were trying to paint this fantasy in her head, but kept quiet in the moment because I didn't feel that was an appropriate moment. Kate has now progressed to the point where she's going to have the baby, and during that time, Austin has not once responded to her calls, messages, or even gone to any appointments. He has blocked several members of the family reaching out to him on Kate's behalf. Eventually, he sent her divorce papers and a note saying he would pay whatever child support was needed once the baby was born, but to never contact him directly again. Kate started crying, and once again, Mom and sister-in-law kept saying that Austin didn't really mean it, that he still needed more time, and that once the baby was actually here, he'd be an involved parent. I was at my limit and told her in the most calm and polite way possible that Austin was never shy about his intent on not being responsible for a child, and that while it would be great for him to change his mind, Kate needed to be realistic and start preparing for a life as a single mother. Kate burst into tears, and now sister-in-law, mom, dad, and most of Kate's friends are calling me a heartless bee. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Right now, Kate is 6 months along. From what Kate has told me, Austin still isn't returning her calls, never asks about her or the baby. The first and only time she's seen him since he moved out was at their first court appearance. Kate has yet to even get an attorney because mom and sister-in-law convinced her to the point where she won't believe it's necessary. Another reason why I wanted to give her a reality check. I'm not saying Austin is an evil man, but I wouldn't be surprised if he'd try to pay as little as necessary for a child he didn't want, although he did agree to keep paying the rent until the lease is up, since it's in both their names. Not the jerk. She needed to hear it. If divorce papers didn't pound it into her head, someone needed to bust up the fantasy that Austin was going to come riding in with flowers, and that everything was going to be fine and dandy, and they would all be a happy family. Better she hears this now, and not when she's dealing with that postpartum hormone drop, and an emotional mess and being fed bees by your mom and sister-in-law. Unwilling fathers make bad fathers. Why do people seem to want to force others into things they don't want, have never wanted, and have been vocal about and careful too? They took precautions. You'll see, he'll change his mind once he sees the baby. No, Mary. He may very well not change his mind. And then you'll go on with your surprised Pikachu face to be a single mom with a deadbeat baby daddy. I'm glad the guy is going to pay child support, which is his obligation at minimum. But damn, people are so ducking stupid. Not the a-hole, OP, not the jerk. It's important to realize that Kate likely hasn't changed her mind about being child-free either, but she's affected by pregnancy hormones and making maladaptive choices, which are still hers to make if she chooses to complete the pregnancy and raise this child herself. Both she and the child will likely be in for decades of misery from her bitter anger. If anything, your family should be gently steering her towards giving the child up for adoption. To start off, I want to say that my husband, 36, male, has an old friend, 33, male, that he's known since high school. They're inseparable and spend the entire week together like they're really, really close. My husband and I struggled with fertility issues for years. We recently started a new method, IVF, in hopes to get at least one child together. Note that I saved for the majority of the treatment, while my husband only paid $2,000 to $3,000. We saved up for another round after the huge disappointment and heartbreak from failing the first time. That's just how it goes. This time, I'd put all the money, including Dad's inheritance, and my husband didn't pay a cent. Last week, I found out that he secretly pulled out $7,000. We had $11,000 in total. I was completely and utterly shocked. I confronted him, and he casually reminded me of how many times his best friend complained about his old junk car, and he decided to lend him $7,000 to buy a decent car. His argument was that his friend would have done the same for him. I was beyond livid. I asked if he really thought that was okay, and he said that I shouldn't worry and guaranteed his friend will pay us back in time. I lost it on him and immediately demanded his friend to send the money back and threatened police involvement in case he refused. His friend immediately returned the money but told my husband about the police thing, and my husband came home and yelled at me, calling me unhinged and selfish. I told him I saved up some of this money, used my inheritance for this treatment, while he contributed nothing, even though we're in this together. He corrected me, saying I'm the one with the problem, and he thought it's only fair that I make up for it by paying for the IVF myself. This hurts so badly, and I couldn't argue anymore. He went to stay with his friend while constantly shaming me for how I treated them both and for the police involvement, like they stole from me or something, not the jerk. That was money you saved, inherited. That means you are the one paying for it, and he did steal it from you. This is what I wanted to say right here. The husband says OP acted like they stole the money. That is absolutely what happened. OP, this was your money, your inheritance. Your husband absolutely stole it from you. Clearly, you want children. But if you have children with this person, your life is only going to get worse. You owe it to yourself to find someone who is as interested in having kids as you are. You owe it to yourself to find someone who respects and loves you. Your current husband clearly does not. Not the a-hole, but spending thousands of dollars to have children with this person is a huge mistake. I have to say it. You should run. This man has no respect for you. How could you say something so hurtful to the person he is supposed to love? If this is really what he thinks of you, he doesn't deserve you. Not the jerk. Seriously, OP, this would be grounds for divorce for me. My husband and I are also struggling with infertility and have suffered 4 losses, but it has actually brought us closer together. He's my biggest support system, and I couldn't get through all of this without him. You deserve a man who will be your teammate and your cheerleader, not someone who says something so unbelievably awful. Not the a-hole, and please reconsider this relationship. At least put having kids on hold. Not the jerk. Are you sure your husband and this guy are just really good friends? I can't imagine giving $7,000 to my close friends from high school so they can buy a car. Seems weird to me. Also, not to pull the divorce card, but holy guacamole. If you and your husband have such different views on financial responsibility and money management, I'm not sure how your marriage lasts in the long term. I'm primarily a stay-at-home mom, but work a few hours a week from home on some freelance work. My husband works traditional 9 to 6 hours, so I'm the one with our kids and doing most of the child care. My brother-in-law, husband's brother, is one of those workaholic finance prototypes who makes tons of money. I don't know how much, but enough to afford a 6-bedroom house in a high cost of living area, plus multiple vacation homes. Sister-in-law doesn't work and calls herself a stay-at-home mom to their kids. They do have 3 kids, same as us, but first of all, they're all elementary school age, so they're in school part of the day. And second of all, she also has a 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, daytime nanny, a live-in evening plus weekend nanny, and a full-team maid and cook. The nanny does all of the work when she's there, and my sister-in-law will just pop up when it suits her. Like, for example, when we carpool, I will drop off the kids, and 4 out of 5 times. The nanny will be the one doing pickups, And if sister-in-law is there, she gives off this vibe like she expects praise, like one of those dads who expects his wife to fall all over herself, thanking him every time he babysits or changes a diaper. The only time she really has her kids alone is weekday mornings from wake-up to school drop-off, which, yeah, is a chaotic time. But you wouldn't hear me complaining if my workday went from 6:30 to 8 a.m. But she loves to talk about how stressful it was that morning. Our kids go to the same school and are involved in some of the same activities, so even if sister-in-law and I weren't related, we'd see a lot of each other. It's a small private school with other rich families too. I was with some moms, including sister-in-law, at a school event, and she was saying she didn't have coverage tomorrow at all, so she won't be able to blah blah blah. The other two moms, who also both have a lot of childcare, were sympathetic towards her. But I blurted out, "Try not having coverage at all." And sister-in-law said, "Well, you don't appreciate how hard it is. I have to do lots of other things too." I said, "Our kids are the same age. Plus my youngest is 4 instead of 5 and not in school yet." 4-year-old was also with me at the time. My sister-in-law changed the subject but later accused me of mom-shaming and said that her job was just as hard as mine, and we were both stay-at-home moms. Since then, she's been really cold towards me, and one of the other moms in the conversation was as well.